Okay, alright, I can learn from past mistakes. In the last 1, 2, 3 times I've done a review of a toy from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen specifically, the edited down time was usually over half an hour. That's including wraparound in both vehicle and robot mode, transformation process, in the case of Revenge of the Fallen, Mech Alive gimmick, the details, character background, trivial points, and my opinion sit at the end of the video. You put that all together and you get 45 minutes to about an hour's worth of footage, when edited down. Now, in my videos for both Leader Class Optimus Prime and Jetfire, I had one video exclusively for the transformation of each toy. And over the last, year now, little over a year now, since I did those videos, I've gotten comments several times of parents saying, "Thank you very much for explaining all this and posting these videos. I bought this toy for my child and they brought it back to me that very afternoon in tears because they couldn't transform it. Then I had to deal with it. Then I wasn't able to get it transformed. And so I went looking around on YouTube and found your review. So thank you very much for that." And so in the spirit of trying to be helpful, but both on people's nerves and for the parents who will undoubtedly have such problems with this toy as well, I'm going to be breaking this review down into 2 parts. The first part will deal with robot mode and vehicle mode exclusively. Details, the Mech Alive feature, other gimmicks, how they pose, things like that. And then the second video will deal exclusively with the transformation process from robot mode into vehicle mode. I hope this will cheer up people who complain that my videos run too long. You know what? Here I am doing something for you, okay? I'm breaking it down into smaller segments. If you're watching these videos back to back and you just got off of part 1, my profound apologies. I was not planning on a 48-minute runtime. That truly was crazy. Actually, I had to delete like 3 scenes out of there, and I had to cut 1 in half in order to squeeze it down because it was running 55 minutes. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to have a video run 55 minutes. I mean, 30 or 35 minutes is long enough as it is, but 55? So I've cut it down to 48, which means that part 1 of my review of Movie Masterpiece Series Starscream is now the longest of my single-cut video reviews for CollectionDX.com. Actually, I had a blooper planned for part 1, but I had to cut that time down somehow, so I'll stick it in this video instead. Assuming, of course, this one doesn't run 45 minutes when it's cut down, too. So, let's get on with the transformation already, huh? First off, get rid of the weapons, because they just get in the way. This panel, getting this lever past has always been a problem for me. And we'll just leave that there for now. Let's deal with the feet. Flip these around. That joint's actually rather tight. Oops, I felt that. And then you have to even this out so that the holes in the top here will fit into these tabs. And likewise for the other side. And pull that up. Right here. In case you're wondering why it is I'm not doing a lot of talking, one of my pet peeves, and I've said this before, one of my pet peeves about Transformers reviewers is they talk incessantly. You have to move this piece, you have to move that piece. Shut up, okay? Picture is worth 1,000 words, you know? Let's see. Alright, yeah. I've only done this a couple of times, Let's get this out of the way again. And then, because we moved the waist section, we can flip this around. Yeah, well, I could do that too. How annoying. It should have been a hidden switch. Push these out of the way. One thing to note. Oh my god, shut up. Seriously, I'm going to take the batteries out of this thing. One thing to note, and the instructions don't say this, this panel right here, this right here, is impossible to get back out of there once you're in jet mode. Even though it's just these two little pegs here and here, out of focus, fit into those two holes right there. That's the only thing that holds in place, but it is impossible to get that thing out of there. It's flush, and there's nowhere to grab onto, even with a fingernail. So you have to do some kind of weird up and down motion with the nose here, and you have to try and wiggle a fingernail, and it just turns out real nasty, you know. Now we'll disassemble the torso a little bit more. You don't have to fold these all the way out, but I do. And then the connection's right there. Let it down, and now you're going to fold this down in, and then you're going to finish it. It's loose. Kind of an odd step to get those in, but the visual that they do is just fantastic. By the way, I didn't point it out because it wasn't transparent. Here's the speaker for the toy. Where's that button? There it is. That's the speaker right there. So, and yes, it'll still make all the noises when it's even half transformed. Now these are a little interesting. You might feel a little resistance in putting them in. What you don't want to do is push them up, fold them over, and then fold them down, okay? Because you'll start scratching plastic and stuff. So keep them flat, push them around. Now there is a part of the instructions that are not entirely clear. The first time you do it, it doesn't make much sense. In step 4, they tell you to fold the other side of the torso down. That's fine. But it's this insert window here that doesn't make very much sense. The problem with the picture, it's not something they missed. They just don't explain it very well. Let me see. Can I get that focused a little better? Yeah. But anyways, it says you're supposed to unfold something to either side, but it isn't very clear about what you're supposed to do. Because, you know, they show this, they show this, they show this, but they're just not very clear. What they're talking about in step 4 is you're supposed to look at it from this angle. And now here are the bars that they're talking about. What you have to do is pull these out and down. That's what step 4 is trying to get you to do. Now you can't just fold it straight down because it actually comes into conflict with the wings. So you're going to have to shift this down, and then you can get those all the way down. See how it's flat now? So shift it out one more, and then bring that out. Okay, that's what step 4 is trying to explain right there, that insert window. It's not very clear. I mean, it is in the instructions, but they're just not very clear about what they want you to do. Like that. Because of that one step in there, I was very tempted to go look on YouTube and start ranting and raving about something that isn't in the instructions, and I almost played the part in this video, but that's, fortunately, you know, I looked at it the last second, I was like, oh, okay. By the way, here's that bar I was explaining towards the end of the posability and robot mode that I was talking about. It just folds in like that, and of course it is on a spring, so it folds out all by itself. It's not quite automorph, but it's you know, it's close enough. Getting the hands in here is a little tricky, and you will kind of fudge it up the first few times. But you just wiggle around with it a little bit, and then, oops, wrong way. Tab goes in like this. And just to make things easy, let's take these from down here, flip them all the way up, and keep them upright like that. Now I'm going to give you a better view. See how it's down? It needs to go from down here to up here. And keep it upright for now. I am not entirely satisfied with the way the joints on the V-tails are dealt with. The joints in here are very, very tight, and I fear that one of these days the plastic is gonna break. Getting them into position, you can futz around with it however you like, but I don't know. I'd say just ignore. Oops, where am I pointing there? Ignore the joint on the inside and just work with the joint on the outside. It just makes me nervous that one of these days those are going to be a bit of a problem. And close the whole thing down. Line everything up. Now the arms are sandwiched between this top panel here and these bottom panels here. So if this is a little loose, if that's loose, that's okay. Yeah, I could do that now. So now what we're going to do is take the hips, flip them around 180, which I kind of wish they'd taken the legs apart a little more, had them break apart a little more or something like that, but there's this tab here and here. We need to go into, oh wait, those tabs go where? Those tabs actually hide inside here, duh. And then the back, well, his backside, that and that go into that one and that one right there. Yeah, this is probably my best transformation video ever. But I'm doing it in a bit of a rush, so I suppose that could be expected. And peg these together. And you're going to have to fish around a little bit when, there's a peg in the bottom of his foot, and then there's a tab that's supposed to fit into a slot. You're just going to have to wiggle it around a little bit and make sure the toes are lined up properly, and it'll fit together easily enough. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a solid enough fit. There. Okay. And let's just get this out while we're at it. Okay, we're almost there. This last bit is easy to understand. Just flip the wing over. You're going to push it in, and then you're going to flip this down. Well, it's not that easy, by the way. Yeah, that's on a spring. That's awesome. Not sure if that's automorph, but I'd call it automorph. Awesome. By the way, let me pull one from behind me here. Here's the missile. I talked about this in part 1, in video 1. I said how it would turn out in a weird place, and you wouldn't be able to have it in place when you put this back in. That's why. Because you still have to take this out and reposition it. So, just so you know. Now, why is it I'm dragging this out so long? Well, there's actually a little bit of a conflict of interest here. What you're supposed to do is push this in, and then this thing folds down, okay? Sounds simple enough, right? Well, for whatever reason, there's a conflict of interest right here. Let's see. There's a conflict of interest right here. This wants to come down, but it also wants to push down right on the edge of the wing there. So you have to kind of fiddle around and mess around with it and kind of put it under pressure, and then eventually it'll fit. I mean, it will be a nice, smooth, clean fit, but just for whatever reason, it won't. You can't push it in and then flip this down. See, even I'm having to struggle with it still. This is now see right here. It's actually starting to warp there a little bit. So it's I don't know why it's so difficult. It's perhaps the most difficult part of transforming him into vehicle mode. The most difficult part, getting him back, is probably this panel right here. But for some reason, right there, and there you have, ladies and gentlemen, the Movie Masterpiece Series Starscream in jet mode. Perhaps it is because I've been desensitized by Leader Class Optimus Prime and Jetfire, or maybe Takara Tomy and Hasbro really did make the transformation on this a little easier while still making it intricate and entertaining. There's really only two little tie-ups, you know, the panel here and these panels back here, and that's it. Honestly, those are perhaps the most difficult parts. Having to deal with the legs dangling and dealing with those, the torso panels that the lower torso is attached to. It can be irritating getting the fists back together when you're, folding them up in here. That's a little annoying, but, you get over that real quick. So, with Optimus Prime and Jetfire, there's a lot of tiny pieces, and the thing that I suppose it works best here is you have places to hang on to as you're transforming it. With Optimus Prime, there was always something flopping around. It was too tight. It was too loose. There were innumerable number of little difficulties that would get in the way. With Jetfire, it was just god-awful. I haven't had a chance to personally interact with the Leader Class Megatron, so I can't really say if there's anything good or bad there. All I know is that it's a real simple transformation for a Leader Class figure. So I'm not really going to try and compare him to that, because he's a little more deluxe class. Speaking of which, I actually might compare the transformation of this guy to that of Voyager Class Mixmaster, which actually had a rather intricate design and transformation to it, even though it was, small like a Voyager class. So Starscream here is kind of like that. It's not that bad. It's really not. There's a couple of pinch points, which I've already pointed out, and, the base of the V-tails, that concerns me. That genuinely worries me. And then there's also that one part in Step 4, which I already described, where you have to take the panels and you have to, shift it downwards, but the instructions weren't very clear. You get over that real quick. So, considering I've had this for about a week now, I think it's very, very well-designed transformation. It's not so simple it gets to be boring, but it's also not so intricate to be frustrating. It works out all really well in the end. And that's just one of many reasons why it is I think this Leader Class figure is awesome. This is the Japanese version, but the design of the toy is very well done. By the way, is it just me, or does Screamer kind of look like an F-15 from this angle? You could put the tails up, I suppose. Now he looks like an F-15. Har, 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 har. Okay. And so, this is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off. Well, I gave it my best shot. Tell me what you think. There's a lot of twisting and turning with knees and stuff in here. That was pretty crazy. The arms can only go out side to side. I can't make them go forward, although they can twist backward. But, it is what it is. I thought about putting the tails forward, but I'm not sure if that works. It's too front heavy. But it actually does help to have the diagonal stabilizers fill in the gaps back here a little bit, so I gave it a try. Looks like that frickin', what is it, VF-22 Stromvogel, whatever that German name is for the was it Macross 7 Valkyrie design, whatever it is. I hate that thing. Ugh. Actually, I hate most of the modern Valkyries. Nothing like a classic, though.